My name is Colonel Vanson Desderius Mande. I'm the Director Research and Analysis, National Counterterrorism Center. As we go into this electoral season, we all need to work as whole government, whole society, for people to talk peace and maintain peace before, during, and after elections. Uganda is for all of us. We need it secure. We need these elections free of violence.
This campaign is proudly organized by the Netherlands Institute for Multi-Party Democracy and partners with support from the European Union. Tuongee, let's talk peace.
We are into the political season. The atmosphere is highly charged. There is a lot of excitement everywhere you look. But elections come and go. We all remain the same people staying in this one country. We must prioritize peace. We do not want to witness violence. No one should be throwing stones. No one should be using inciting language or abusing others. No one should use a stick against a fellow citizen. No one should use bullets or even tear gas against citizens. Instead, we should sit as brothers and sisters, as Ugandans, and discuss issues that may appear different, one come from the other. I look forward to seeing an NRM supporter sitting with an NUP supporter and taking coffee. I want to see somebody from Arua sitting down with a cup of coffee with someone from Bugisu, from Chigezi, from Uganda. Let's learn to tolerate each other, even when we have differences between us, because that's how we are created. We are not the same. What we should appreciate is that we can all live together. Uganda is big enough for everyone. So we should respect one another. We should not incite violence. We should not in any way participate in anything that breaches the peace. That's my call to all Ugandans during this season.
This campaign is proudly organized by the Netherlands Institute for Multi-Party Democracy and partners with support from the European Union. Tuongee, let's talk peace.
I'm Superintendent of Police, Bagan's Patience, the DPC Dokoro. We are in for the election period, and my role as police is to provide security. However, if we are to have a peaceful election, it is a two-way traffic. The wananchi also have a role to play in this. The catchword in this is to have an election period where everyone is to participate freely without any fear. Our commitment as police, we are going to prepare and prepare and prepare. And then we shall give a leveled ground for all of you to participate in this election. We call upon all Ugandans to keep peace during this election period.
This campaign is proudly organized by the Netherlands Institute for Multi-Party Democracy and partners with support from the European Union. Tuongee, let's talk peace.
Hi guys, we are going into the elections as a country. My job, the job is to pray that God himself will choose for us the best leaders, whether they are in this party or in this party. As long as it is God who has chosen them, then he will be with them. May God help us as we vote. Also, I encourage all my young people, make sure you stay alive to see your future. Be peaceful, don't fight. Someday I saw a guy getting a rock and telling a guy with a gun, Okolechi, Okolechi. I'm like, come on, you have the future to protect, make sure you are peaceful. Even though your wife, your sister, your brother does not vote your side, make sure you stay alive together as you wait for the future that you are believing for. Stay peaceful, stay calm, and pray.
This campaign is proudly organized by the Netherlands Institute for Multi-Party Democracy and partners with support from the European Union. Tuongee, let's talk peace.
Hello, my name is Rosa Malango, and I serve as a special presidential envoy for tourism and trade. But before that, I spent almost 3 decades working with the United Nations and 2 years as a social entrepreneur. So I know the importance of peace for stability and for development. So at this important time, as Uganda prepares once again to go to the elections, this is an appeal that citizenship and electoral participation does not have to mean destruction. So a call to everyone to participate, to exercise their civic duties, but also to promote peace. We need peace to continue to feed our families. We need peace to be able to continue to grow. And we need peace if we really want to become the beacon of hope, tourism, and trade on the African continent.
This campaign is proudly organized by the Netherlands Institute for Multi-Party Democracy and partners with support from the European Union. Tuongele, let's talk peace.
I'm urging all Ugandans, please, let's have a peaceful elections this time around. Let's vote peacefully. After voting, let's walk back home. Let's protect our gains. Let's be peaceful. Please, let's gather in numbers. Let's go and vote peacefully. Then we go home peacefully. Thank you.
This campaign is proudly organized by the Netherlands Institute for Multi-Party Democracy and partners with support from the European Union. Tuongele, let's talk peace.
As we go into the final lap of the election campaigns and into polling, we are calling upon all the people of Uganda to conduct themselves peacefully. First of all, the candidates, we call upon you to use suitable language that shows respect and tolerance, and language that promotes peace and unity, because we are all Ugandans and the elections should not divide us. So we call for language that is respectful of people's cultures, people's views, and is tolerant, because we all have different views, but we all want to have a very, very united country. Uganda, and a progressive one at that. So we are calling upon you to conduct yourself peacefully as we go into the final days of the campaign, and on polling day, to respect the views of others and to accept the results of the elections, and know that after the elections, there will still be a Uganda, and we need each other as citizens of Uganda. I wish you a peaceful electoral process, and I call upon you to be peaceful. Peace-loving Ugandans. God bless you.
This campaign is proudly organized by the Netherlands Institute for Multi-Party Democracy and partners with support from the European Union. Tuongele, let's talk peace.
This is the moment Uganda turns from voting to verification. With the now open National Tally Center in Lubowa, the EC is about to announce results from whatever they've collected across the country at 10:30. And of course, that will be coming in with the chairperson of EC, Justice Santana. A very good evening and welcome to UBC Inspiring Uganda, coming to you live from the Nile Avenue with me, Sharon Chomjosha. Today can be marked as a successful day, 15th of January 2026, where people or Ugandans, the citizens, have gone ahead to practice or gone ahead to vote for their leaders, the ones that they feel like can address the issues that they have as Ugandans for the next 5 years. And of course, today has been very successful, even with a few hiccups that the police managed to talk to us about through our reporters from the National Tally Center. Over 400 citizens have been arrested from areas like Katwe and Nasana, where some of these were trying to create commotion on this day, but then police was able to nip it in the bud. Thank you so much for watching, and we still continue with giving you updates on whatever has been transpiring today. And later on at 10:30, we'll be coming in with results from the EC National Tally Center in Lubowa. Now, we'll have some stories, of course, also going on with what transpired and which areas have voted, how the turnout was like, which presidential candidates went and voted, and the areas that, whatever happened, we still have that coming up on UBC. Now, earlier today, the incumbent President Jerry Museveni scooped all the votes at his home ground polling station in Rachtura at Karori Primary School. Take a look at the story. That's an update where President Museveni scooped all the votes at his home ground polling station in Rajpura. Now, still in more that has happened and transpired today, our colleague Haruna Mtesa is on a call from Tunga Motali Center, and we need to hear from him to know what is transpiring. A very good evening, Haruna. Please go ahead and update us.
Good evening to you, Sharon, and our viewers watching us everywhere. UBC the national broadcaster. Right now, I'm in Tunga district, and the district is saying that just waiting for the provisional results to be screened live on the screens placed inside this main hall. Everything is safe despite the delay of the results for the different constituents. Remember, there are supposed to be qualified security and EC district officials. Remember, Tunga has many counties that include Rushen, Tunga Municipality, Kajala County, Rohama County, and Rohama Main. So it's a big task ahead of us tonight.
Okay.
Especially when the voting was done manually. So up to now, there's nothing taking place apart from enjoying the sounds of music from the loudspeakers.
Okay. What do people seem like? What is the attitude of the people, the ones that are in the room that you said you are part of?
Yes, here we have almost connected core because most of the countries they are already arrived at this level. Apart from the two who are, I think, that we know that they are the seat and the people are saying that they are the winners until we wait for the each official to announce that. Yes, Kalohanga was the contestant for Tunga Municipality. For him, he has been declaring himself as he's the winner. And also Viola Monia, I forgot another name, but there's that woman who party for Tunga district. Because the only two candidates I think who are candidates, we have no the others. They are ready so far until we will begin for the commission from this talent center.
Are the celebrations going to be at that very hall later on, or when do you expect them to come? 10:30, because for the National Tele Center, Justice Yawakam has said that at 10:30 they will start to send in their results, or they will have it broadcasted live, and we'll get to know who has won where. So is that when everybody's going to come and fill out that room or something?
Yes, that was the official communication we got when we were here at around 6:30. But from 8 to 9, I only saw the 4 pickups coming up with some kind boxes of the hot materials from the field. But from that time, nothing has been taking place. So we're just waiting for the official communication from this. It's a Tunga for the district officials. But up to now, we're just seeing journalists inside the main hall, and also some few police officers. The rest are just scattered outside the tent. Gathering some information and also receiving some boxes which have just arrived from different counties which are getting into our districts. But I think this delay came as a result of the morning exercise where voting was not managed in time as guided by the EC. So in many areas, the voting materials arrived very late, at around 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., which means that in most polling stations, they began their voting at around midday to 1 p.m. So you see how these delays came from morning, and I don't think that even up now shall get these results by tonight.
Really? Did you have a smooth run despite starting off a little bit later in the day?
Yes, despite that there was some looking up for different polling stations, but I think it was mostly managed because most of the people who had come earlier, like 7:30, 8:30, or 9:30, they had gone back home because they thought maybe the voting had been cancelled. So others were just calling their neighbors and friends that to come back and engage this voting exercise. So I think they did all the challenges which we are facing now at the digital center here in Juba.
Very interesting, Haruna. Well, I understand the main hall is empty, but enjoy for 2. And we hope that everybody turns up once the results are brought in, and I mean once EC gets to announce. Thank you so much for the update. Have a lovely night, and I hope everything works out. And Jane and Viola, who are already expectant to be winners, I hope they go through and nothing changes. Thank you, Haruna. Now, from that, we still had, by press time, the opposition was still in the early lead in different polling stations across Kira municipality, and the competition has been a neck to neck as NUP's George Musisi dominates PFF's Ibrahim Semjunganda, who is also the current area member of parliament. In the race for women member of parliament, incumbent Betty Ethel-Nalima was still in the early lead. And we have details about what transpired today.
Up to 11 when you can issue that directive. Why frustrate Ugandans? I really sympathize with many of you who were at the polling stations so much earlier, but until the directive was issued, that's when you managed to vote. All the same.
In the other structures we have the mainstream, where the chairman and the vice and others who are 5, and the women league, and the youth league, and the elders, and the second, they told us that since the man of the parish model is very small for only 100 million, he said we go back and write our people for those people who are having the midara, who are making chapati, who are having the togo, such that the president can give them the big can contribute toward their small businesses.
Of course, we're positioned in different places in the country, different areas per se, if you want, and we have different reporters in all these areas to keep us updated with verified information and accurate information on what is happening as people await the final results that will be announced by the EC chairperson, Justice Simon Baraka. Right about now, we'll talk to Eddie Olwa from Northern Uganda Data City. A very good evening, Eddie Olwa. Any updates on what's happening ahead of the announcement of the results that will be coming in a few minutes from now?
Good evening, Sharon and all our viewers. We are coming to you live from Lira City. Right now I am at the Lira City Council Hall, where drilling is taking place. As you very well know, Lagos City has been having one of those hottest contests between two cabinet ministers, that is Gender Minister Betty Mongi and then the incumbent woman MP for Lagos City now, that is Dr. Jane Rosa Chen, the Health Minister. The contest has been one of those hottest ones in the region, in Lano sub-region here, and there were three candidates who were rivaling for the same position, but one pulled out, leaving the race only between the two. Right now, polling is taking place here, and we shall be hoping to get the results in a few hours from now. But Sharon, if you may allow, during the day, a number of activities were taking place. Of course, voting started late, as it was in most parts of the country, and that was basically as a result of delays in delivering the voting materials, but also the verification machine also failed in most of the polling stations. But also in some polling stations where I visited, you find that some officers did not show up for work, so it took the electoral commission some time to find other officers to fill in.
What do you mean some officers didn't turn up for work?
Yeah, but getting point is Irada Valley polling station at Irada Primary School, the presiding officer did not show up for work. So voters were there waiting, the voting materials were delivered, but then the person who was supposed to receive them and then, preside over the election at that polling station wasn't there. So the returning officer and the team had to mobilize quickly and then form somebody whom they sent, and later on voting started.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Shortly after that, we saw the two prominent ministers voting in. Betty Mongi voting at Lano Cultural Center together with her husband, also the party president for UPC, that is Uga-American. And then Doctor also voted around midday at Uganda Primary School. But later on, immediately after the voting, some situation came up where we had some scuffle at Borogoro West, that is in Lira City East, where some vigilantes around the community group of border surrounded the car belonging to Honorable Betty Mongi, and their claim was she was moving around the polling station, and they were suspicious that her movement together with her husband was kind of like mobilizing people to vote for them, and they were not happy with that, so they surrounded the vehicle, not allowing them to move. So there was some bit of scuffle there that prompted the intervention of security. I saw there the 5th Division Commander, that is Faith Katuji, who rushed to the scene and then talked to the people there. Of course, the assistant RCCs were there, including the deputy RCC for Lagos City East. And then later they escorted the minister together with her husband, that is Uga-American, back home, where they asked her not to leave home. But when we spoke to police to try to ask whether that was kind of like a house arrest, the police PRO for North Kivu region, that is Jimmy Patrick Okema, was able to confirm to us that they really took her back home, but she's not under house arrest. But they just requested her not to move anywhere because when they moved, they kind of caused tension among people. Okema also told us that the same meeting was also held with the Health Minister, Dr. Jane Rosa Chen, whom they also asked her to remain at home. So they advised them that if there is any situation in the ground, they could use their agents whom they have deployed on the ground to manage or handle situations and when they arise. But overall, the whole process was peaceful. There has been, we could observe security deployment almost in all corners of the city. Some of them, we could see them walking on foot. Some were using motorcycles, and then we also had some with the pickup, and this has been a mix of course, officers from Uganda police force, and then the army who have been moving and patrolling around and ensure that people really vote freely, and then no situation actually happens and escalates. But also, moving around the town today, the streets were not as busy as it used to be, and I could see during the daytime that over 80% of businesses were actually closed. Very few businesses were open, and coming around evening hours, around 5, the majority of them were already closed, and the streets were not as busy as it used to be. So right now we are just stationed here waiting for results. Tallying is ongoing for presidential, tallying is ongoing for the woman member of parliament, tallying is ongoing for the 2 division members of parliament, that is City East and then City West Sharon.
A quick one, Eddie. I know we're waiting on EC for the results, for the final results, accurate and verified. But what do you have as provisional, if you may?
Thank you, Sharon. So what I can only tell you, of course, we cannot confirm as we wait for results, but what is happening right now is that we can hear and see a group of people, especially from the NRM camp, already celebrating, and they are kind of convinced that the woman member of parliament is going to their side, that is Dr. Jane Rota Chen. And from the preliminary results which are coming in here from most of the polling stations, we can say that Dr. Jane Rota Chen is still leading in most of the polling stations. But the gap is not yet very huge, but we can hear people celebrating and people are happy. We can also see agents belonging to Dr. Jane Rota Chen inside the hall here. They are all celebrating, they are happy. You know, we can see them greeting each other. And then in the 2 divisions for the parliamentary candidates, in Lira City East and the City West, we can see UPC candidates also in the room and their agents, and they seem a little bit hopeful that the day is going to them. Of course, most of these candidates, they also have their independent tally center. So before they walk in here, they have already tallied all their results and they come in here. But we cannot confirm that that may be the case, because we are here waiting on the EC to give the official results, and that is when we shall confidently communicate. But we are hearing also people celebrating outside there that the day is going to Dr. General Ache.
And did you vote?
Yes, I did vote after running around. So around 4, I had to rush after covering the other scaffold. I had to rush to my polling station. That is at St. Mary's, where I did the voting, and then eventually also went to other polling stations to see how counting of votes at the polling stations were happening.
Thank you so much, Eddie, for the update, and thank you for going ahead to vote for the leaders that you want to see. Create change where you need it and maintain whatever you feel like has been worked on. Have a lovely night, and we will still wait for EC to announce. I know it's already past 10:30, which was the time allocated or allotted for the results coming in from EC. So many issues happened during the day, like the biometrics machines are failing, as well as, a few scaffolds here and there from different polling stations, like in Nasala and the others that I mentioned earlier, and then so many others. But we'll still keep you updated as soon as we're ready to roll or to go to the EC Tally Center in Loboa. Now, in Bokolo constituency, Nautumba district, where the race is between the incumbent Minister of Lands, Pastor Namugaza and Emmanuel Maganda Katoke, the National Resistance Movement Libera minus Kamishes were reported at Chivale polling station, and the situation was later brought under control and voting resumed normally.
You're welcome. Those who are just joining us, you're welcome to the National Party Center for the presidential elections 2026. And the commission is just getting back in to take charge of this exercise. The chairperson of the commission, Justice Uga-American Simon, the deputy chairperson, Harriet Aisha, and the commissioners, and the acting secretary. Welcome, Lord Chairperson of the commission. You may take your seats. And straight away take us through what you have to communicate to the country. Over to you, Lord Chair. Thank you.
Distinguished guests and dear citizens who are watching us, wherever you are. These are the first preliminary results of the presidential elections that the Commission has received and ascertained so far. Total number of registered voters, 21,649,067 on the National Voters Register. The total number of polling stations, 50,739. Results, the total number of polling stations from which you have received the results at this point in time, 133, representing 0.26% of total polling stations. These are so far the results per presidential candidate. Bulira Frank Kavinga, Party RPP, votes received so far 84, representing 0.36% of the valid votes cast for candidates so far. Kaswande Robert, Party MPP, total number of votes 66, representing 0.29% of the valid votes cast for candidates. Chaplain Sentam Robert, no. 7,753 votes, representing 33.64% of the valid votes cast for the candidates. Mavilis Joseph, CP, votes 45, representing 0.20% of the valid votes cast. Mugisha Gregory Muntu Oyera, AMT, 164 votes, representing 0.71% of valid votes cast for candidates. Munyagwa Mubarak Serunga, CMP, 145 votes, representing 0.63% of valid votes cast. Nandaya Mafadi James Nathan, FDC, 560 votes, representing 2.43% of valid votes cast. Yoweri Tuhagurwa Kaguta Museveni, NRM, 14,232 votes, representing 61.7% of valid votes cast so far. Total number of valid votes for all the candidates so far is 23,049. Invalid votes so far, 796, representing 3.34% of the total votes cast. Total number of votes altogether, 23,845, representing 0.11% of the total number of registered voters. The spoiled votes are 37. That is the position as of now. Ladies and gentlemen, and those who are watching us, as I said, that is the first preliminary results the Commission has received so far at this National Tally Center. It's now coming to 11 p.m. The next update will be tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I wish all of you a blessed night. Thank you so much.
point. Now, we have received the first update of the vote
of the tallies that have just been released by the Electoral Commission, official information by the Electoral Commission, and read by Justice Simon Biabakama, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, here just a few seconds or minutes ago. He has read to us 1,033 polling stations that have come in with a total number of votes of 23,049. Of those, candidate Frank Bulira had 84 votes. Candidate Frank Kasivante has 66 votes. Candidate Chagulani Robert Sentamo of the NUP has 7,753 votes. Elton Joseph Mabilizi has 45 votes. General Grigori Mjishamuntu has 164 votes. Candidate Munyagwa Mubarak has 145 votes. Nandala Mafami of the FDC has 560 votes. And candidate Yoweri Museveni of the National Resistance Movement has 14,232 votes. The total vote is 23,049 votes. That is what they have released so far, and it was just at 11 sharp. According to the Chair Electoral Commission, we are going to have another update tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and the expectation is that by that time, a number of other polling stations will have sent their results and how it has been. Now, I want to talk to someone as we close. Maybe he has been in the election observation for a very long time. His name is Mr. Crispin Kakeu. Good evening, sir.
Good evening to you. Just to be very accurate, I have observed 150 elections in over 50 countries globally.
Okay. I have wanted to ask this. What is that standard that is looked at and taken as the standard that qualifies an election to be free and fair? There may be a number, but what is that main one?
And on that issue, people should be able to participate freely, unimpeded in an electoral process. That's the only one. That's the gold standard. Yeah, I mean, anything besides that is really secondary. The primary standard is people, as long as you're a registered voter, you should be able to participate in the electoral process unimpeded.
You have observed elections in Africa.
Correct.
Out of 100, how do we score?
Well, I wouldn't want to give a score because different African countries have different contexts, and the contexts determine the type of elections we have. But I will tell you one thing, that in Uganda, we are talking about the need for electoral reforms, but our laws are one of the best in as far as electoral processes are concerned. Not just on the African continent, but in the world.
Why?
Because our laws provide for that unimpeded participation in the electoral process. You might have a question whether we translate what is in the books of law into implementation. That's a whole different question. But in as far as the legal framework for elections in Uganda is concerned, it's one of the best. And I'll tell you why. Now, in many of the African countries, you cannot challenge results from an election. It's cast in stone. Once the electoral authorities announce the results, that's it. In Uganda, you can challenge an election result. In fact, I shouldn't even be going far. In the neighborhood, in Tanzania, once a candidate is announced winner for a presidential position, that seals it. No challenging it in court, no challenging it anywhere. That's the legal position. It's in the constitution. But here, people can.
I've seen it happen. But besides seeing it happen and the legal framework giving us that leverage, do we really practice what our law gives us as a country?
Yes, we do, with challenges. Implementation of the law has never been seamless anywhere in the world. Even in the best democracies that we love to cite, the UK, the US, you've seen how the US elections have been conducted. You've seen how UK elections are run. You've seen elections in the largest democracy in the world, India, how they run. So, translating the law into actual practice has never been seamless. And I think we would be lying to ourselves if we wanted to say that there's a society that implements the law to the very point that that law has to be implemented. No. What we aim for, I think the law sets the standard, and we need to adhere to that standard as much as we can. Now, what we see in Uganda is an attempt. We try. Challenges exist, and that is why we're still talking about the need for improvements in the electoral laws. But beyond improvements in the electoral laws, we also need to talk about enforcement. Enforcement, which is what we're going back to, translating what is in the books of law into action.
Not only elections, why do we set standards that we fail to see to reality? How can we be the best people to write laws that we cannot achieve in reality to even 80%? How does that happen?
The law is a standard. You always aspire to. You always try to. If you hit the standard, perfect. But the law is supposed to, it's like in flight language, what they call a Doppler. You know, planes follow the Doppler. You know, the Doppler is put somewhere and the planes are supposed to follow that. So that is what the intent of the law is. You follow the law. Now, you've asked why do we have laws that we fail to score? I don't think it is the intention to fail to score to the best of the law. I think it is the realities of life that we have to constantly address. Now, we need to constantly address those challenges that impede us from meeting the standard of the law. That is why we are talking about electoral reforms constantly. And that is why, ahead of each and every election, it is important that a country thinks about the recommendations that were made from previous elections and seeks to cure those problems. And you can cure those problems by law, by administration, by program. By law, legal reforms. By administration, through, making amendments in electoral administration, institutional arrangements, so that you deliver to your objective. By program, by putting in place programs that will support your objective. Civic education, voter education, and a host of all other, peace programming, etc.
I want to end with this one in form of an example. I was interviewing an opposition leader during the campaign time, and they were complaining, this is the candidate, but he's still the president at the same time. I asked him, you have MPs in parliament who know about this law and sit where the laws have to be amended. They go silent about it 5 years and only complain about it during election time. Yesterday I was asking the Electoral Commission chairperson, where he was saying, yes, we know it is the law that allows you to keep around the electoral aid polling station. And I told him, the law is the law. Why don't you seek an amendment of that law in order to fix it? Why do people forget, or why do we forget to take these steps and then complain after? Well, as somebody who stands in the middle in the capacity of an intern.
Now, let's begin with your first analogy. How many opposition members of parliament are running for elected offices right now?
Yeah.
all of them. So they're incumbents. They're running again. Yeah? So when we are having these conversations, we should be holistic. We shouldn't cherry pick that we focus on this position or that position. So, if you're talking about the risks of incumbents running for elective offices while remaining in their offices, let's look at that across the board. Let's not be selective. So for me, I think that is the beginning point of the conversation. Secondly, why do the members of parliament who sit in parliament complain about these issues, yet they can change the laws in the spaces where we have sent them? Now, I can answer you this, that even me, I wouldn't know why that happened. But I don't want to say that human beings are selfish beings. That is what I see. Because you are actually in the space where you can make these amendments. Why not undertake them and come out to say, I mean, exactly. But also, you know, when you are in parliament, you are not just a representative of your constituency. You're a representative of the entire country. You act in good faith for the entire country. So, where there is a law that needs to be passed, you should be at the forefront of advocating for that law, whether in a private member's capacity or through government. So, many of these MPs have the space, they have the capability, they have the ability, but they don't use it. Why? I don't know. Are they disingenuous? I am tempted to think so at times.
Thank you so much. His name is Crispy Kaheru. He is an elections observer generally. Yes, I have been reminded that we need to share information in the local language. Atulaba ku Star TV, ssentebe w'akakiiko k'ebyokulonda afulumizaayo ebimu ku byakavaayo mu kulonda okubaddewo olwaleero okwaba pulezidenti naddala jjukira okwaba memba ba parliament okulangirira kubeera ku districts wano ku national tele center we tuli watuukawo bululu oba ebivudde mu kulondebwa okwaba president. Kakati mu bifulumye bivudde mu bifo awalondebwa 1,303. Bakandidate bali 8. Asooka ye Frank Bulira afunyeyo yakafuna obululu 84. Kasibante alina obululu 66. Kyagulanyi Robert Sentamu alina obululu 7,753. Mabirizi Joseph Elton alina obululu 45. Kwebyo byakafulumizibwa. General Gregory Mugisha Muntu owa ANT alina obululu 164. Honorable Mubaraka Munyagwa alina obululu 145. Kwebyo byakafulumizibwa. Nandala Fabio wa FDC alina obululu 506. Kwebyo byakafulumizibwa. Ate Yoweri Museveni wa NRM alina obululu 1,132. Kwebyo ebyakafulumizibwa. Olwaleero bifulumiziddwa ku ssaawa 5 ez'ekiro nga Justice Simon Byabakama asuubiza nti agenda kuddamu okufulumya ebirala nga bwe bikyajja enkya ku makya essaawa 3 ez'okumakya. N'olwekyo beera bulindaala, of course tugenda kuba tubikuwa ku UBC ne Star TV. That is how the evening has been, with an update from the Electoral Commission bringing in part of the results of what has come out from the elections, the votes that were cast this evening. We thank you so much for watching. And on behalf of the whole team here, we wish you the best of the night. Let's catch you tomorrow as we continue with the coverage of the whole process till the declaration of the winners and who the president will be, who the MPs will have one. Keep it UBC TV, Star TV. My name is Michael Jordan Lukoma on behalf of the whole team here at the National Tally Center and as well at the Broadcast House, Nile Avenue in Kampala.
Colonel Branson.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. We still continue with what has happened, and for now, we actually, a few minutes ago, we got the first set of preliminary results from the EC chairperson, Justice Simon Biawakama, from the National